Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you really thought about your heart, not in a romantic way, but your actual heart, the one that's been beating faithfully for you every second of every day for over 6 decades? If you're like most people, you probably haven't thought much about it unless something started to feel wrong. Maybe a flutter here, a shortness of breath there, or just a feeling that you're slowing down. But here's the truth: by the time we notice the obvious signs of heart trouble, the problem has often been there for quite a while. That's why today's conversation is so important. Not scary, not overwhelming, just a quiet, meaningful talk between you and me, like we're sitting at the kitchen table or taking a walk through the park. I want to share with you 5 subtle signs that your heart may be in trouble after the age of 60. These aren't the dramatic movie-style heart attacks with chest clutching and collapsing. These are the quiet signals your body gives you gently at first that something may not be right. And if you catch them early, you may just save your own life. Now, this isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding your body, respecting it, and knowing when to speak to your doctor. Because a healthy heart doesn't always mean a perfect heart, but it does mean you're listening, paying attention, and willing to act when needed. So let's begin. Here's the first subtle sign. Sign 1: fatigue that feels different than normal tiredness. We all get tired from time to time, especially after a long day or a poor night's sleep, but heart-related fatigue feels different. It's not the kind you shake off with a cup of coffee or a good nap. It's deeper, heavier, like your body is carrying around a weight it wasn't carrying before. People with developing heart issues often describe this kind of fatigue as a slowing down. You find yourself unable to do things you could easily manage just a few months ago. Climbing stairs leaves you more winded. Walking from the car to the store feels unusually draining. You might even feel tired after showering or cooking a simple meal. Now, this doesn't mean every bout of tiredness is heart trouble, but if this fatigue is new, persistent, and doesn't improve with rest, especially if it seems to come on during mild physical activity, it's worth paying attention to. This type of fatigue can be a sign that your heart is struggling to pump efficiently. The muscles and organs aren't getting the oxygen-rich blood they need, so your whole system slows down to conserve energy. Don't ignore it. Fatigue is often the body's quietest cry for help. Sign 2: shortness of breath doing everyday activities. Let's talk about breathing. One of the early, subtle signs of heart issues is shortness of breath during activities that never used to be a problem. Maybe you walk your dog every morning and suddenly notice you're stopping more often, or you find yourself needing to sit down and catch your breath while folding laundry or gardening. When the heart isn't pumping effectively, fluid can back up into the lungs. This makes it harder for oxygen to move through your body, and even light exertion can leave you winded. The key here is change. If you've always had asthma or a respiratory condition, you probably know what your baseline feels like. But if you're suddenly experiencing shortness of breath, especially when lying flat or walking short distances, it could be your heart trying to tell you something. Some people also notice this at night, waking up gasping or needing to sleep propped up on pillows. That's not just aging, that's something to check out. When your breathing changes, your heart might be the reason, and it's always worth having a professional listen, both to your lungs and to your story. Sign 3: swelling in your legs, ankles, or feet. This one is easy to overlook because swelling in the feet or ankles is so common in older adults, but that doesn't mean it's harmless. If your legs or feet are swelling more than usual, especially by the end of the day or after sitting for a while, your heart could be struggling to circulate blood efficiently. When the heart's pumping action weakens, blood can back up in the veins of your legs, causing fluid to leak into surrounding tissues. It's called edema, and it's a classic early warning sign of heart failure or weakening heart muscles. You might also notice your socks leaving deeper impressions than they used to, or your shoes fitting tighter at night. Some people even feel a sense of heaviness in their legs or a mild ache. What makes this dangerous is how gradual it can be. You might blame it on too much salt or just being on your feet all day, But if the swelling becomes consistent or worse, starts to rise up your calves, your heart might be involved. Again, it's not about panic. It's about paying attention. Your legs may be showing what your heart's been hiding. Sign 4, irregular heartbeat or mild palpitations. Let's talk about something you might have felt, but brushed off those little fluttering sensations in your chest. Maybe it feels like your heart skipped a beat, or like it's pounding harder than usual for no clear reason. These are called palpitations, and while they can sometimes be harmless caused by caffeine, dehydration, or stress, they can also signal something deeper. As we age, the risk of developing atrial fibrillation increases. Atrial fibrillation, or AFib for short, is an irregular heartbeat that can lead to blood clots, stroke, and heart failure if left untreated. The tricky part, it doesn't always cause pain. Sometimes it just feels like a light flutter or a thump in the chest that comes and goes. Many people ignore these early signs, especially if they're not accompanied by dizziness or pain. But an irregular heartbeat is one of the more silent red flags that your heart's rhythm is out of sync and it needs attention. If you've noticed this feeling more than once, or if your pulse feels uneven, talk to your doctor. A simple EKG can often detect arrhythmias quickly, and early treatment can lower your stroke risk dramatically. So don't dismiss a strange heartbeat. Your heart is your body's rhythm keeper, and if the rhythm feels off, it might be because something else is too. Sign 5, subtle chest discomfort or pressure, not pain. When people think of a heart problem, they often imagine sharp chest pain, something sudden and intense, like we see in movies. But for many people, especially older adults and women, the signs are far more subtle. We're talking about chest discomfort, not pain. It might feel like pressure, tightness, or even mild indigestion. Some describe it as a heaviness in the center of the chest, or a feeling like something is sitting on the chest. This kind of discomfort may come and go. It might show up after walking, climbing stairs, or even during emotional stress and go away when you rest. The danger, people often write it off as heartburn or just getting older. But that pressure may actually be your heart muscle not getting enough oxygen, what doctors call angina. And angina is often a precursor to a heart attack. Here's the thing, you know your body. If something feels new, persistent, or unusual, trust your instinct. Chest pressure, even if it's mild, deserves to be checked out, especially if it happens more than once. Don't let subtlety fool you. Just because it doesn't hurt, doesn't mean it's not serious. Let's pause here. We've just covered 5 subtle signs that your heart may be in trouble. Unusual fatigue that doesn't go away, shortness of breath doing simple tasks, swelling in your legs or feet, irregular heartbeats or fluttering in your chest, mild chest discomfort or pressure, not always pain. None of these signs are meant to scare you. In fact, I hope they do the opposite. I hope they help you feel more confident in knowing what to look for, what to notice, and when to speak up. Because you don't need to wait for a heart attack to start taking your heart seriously. The body speaks to us quietly, respectfully, and if we listen, if we truly listen, we can prevent the worst from happening. It's about checking in with yourself. It's about paying attention not just to your labs or test results, but to how you feel, how your body responds to movement, to rest, to stress. And it's about not being afraid to ask your doctor the simple but important question, could this be my heart? That question could save your life. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for showing up for your own health, for being curious, and for being open to listening to the quieter messages your body might be sending. The heart is a powerful organ, but it's also incredibly sensitive. It responds to how we treat our bodies, how we manage stress, how we sleep, how we move, and how we care for ourselves overall. So here's what I encourage you to do next. If any of these 5 signs sound familiar, write them down. Track how often they happen. Talk to your doctor not in a panic, but with curiosity and care. Ask about simple tests that can rule out or confirm early heart issues. And most of all, don't wait. Prevention is always more powerful than reaction. Remember, you don't have to become a cardiologist to protect your heart. You just have to stay informed and stay aware. Your best years aren't behind you. They can still be full of strength, clarity, and peace, but it all starts with listening to the organ that's been with you every step of the way, your heart. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Take good care of yourself, and I hope to see you in the next video.